मैंने सब ट्राई किया, ड्रॉप शिपिंग, becoming an influencer and posting content, even launching my own marketing agency and selling courses. And despite all these businesses, I was able to actually find one business that allowed me to become a self-made millionaire in my 20s, while also having the opportunity to work with upwards of 2,000 plus high-paying clients. In this video, मैं करने वाला हूँ comparison of all these type of businesses, what worked for me, what did not work for me, and which one you can also start this very year to make your very own first 1 crore. So without any further ado, let's get started. Now, when actually thinking about starting an online business, I like to actually have 4 simple parameters that I like to look at when deciding which one to pick. The first parameter would be called as time freedom. This means मेरे को एक ऐसा business select करना है जहां I have the opportunity to pick my own schedule and I'm not restricted towards a fixed timing. Number 2, location freedom. This means I have the opportunity to work from anywhere that I want in the world. Number 3 is money freedom. This means I want to start a business that allows me to have huge profit margins so that I can actually become rich without actually relying on some investors and giving them a report all the time. And finally is effort freedom. This means I want to start a business jahan pe I have to put in the least amount of effort so I can get the maximum returns. So let's start with business number 1, which is called as drop shipping. So unless you've been living under a rock and आपको पता नहीं है ड्रॉप शिपिंग होता क्या है, it basically involves you launching an e-commerce store. ठीक है, आप क्या करते हो, इस e-commerce store पे बहुत सारा ट्रैफिक लाते हो. You could use ads, you could use content and whatnot. And इस store पे what you are selling है, you are selling products. किस टाइप के products? You can pick any category that you want. आपको jewelry बेचनी है, आपको कपड़े बेचने हैं, आपको phones बेचने हैं, whatever the case might be. अब ये products कहाँ से लाएं? Now earlier it used to be very difficult for people to actually create their own manufacturing units and create these products and then go about selling. But thankfully in today's time you have websites like AliExpress if you want to do international drop shipping. You have websites like IndiaMart, right? Chances are that if you want to sell, not products, you want to sell t-shirts, there's a concept called as print on demand as well, where there are companies who would create different kind of t-shirts on your behalf that you can put on your store. Now what happens is you can go to these websites, you can find the various kind of products जो available हैं in websites पे, and यहाँ पे आपको directly manufacturers मिलेंगे जो products लेके they are willing to actually sell it to you on bulk quantity, or even if not bulk quantity, even for individual items. So होता क्या है, जब लोग आपकी वेबसाइट पे जाएंगे, they will find a product and they will end up actually buying something. Rather than the product shipping to the customer directly from your store or your unit, you actually go to one of these websites like AliExpress, IndiaMart or any print on demand website, and यहाँ पे जाके जब आप order place करते हो, you are basically placing an order for this particular individual. So basically आप कह रहे हो यहाँ पे जाके आप इस individual का address डाल रहे हो. तो लेट्स सपोज आपके स्टोर पे किसी ने एक आइटम खरीदा फॉर 100 रुपये, राइट? आप अली एक्सप्रेस या इनमें से कोई भी वेबसाइट पे गए जहाँ पे आपने आइटम देखा फॉर लेट्स सपोज 40 रुपीज़, ठीक है? तो आपने क्या किया, आपने इस इंडिविजुअल को 100 रुपये का प्रोडक्ट बेच दिया और फिर आप इन वेबसाइट्स पे जाके 40 रुपये का ये प्रोडक्ट खरीद के डायरेक्टली इस इंडिविजुअल के घर पे भिजवा दिया. तो बचा क्या आपके पास प्रॉफिट बचा ऑफ 60 रुपीज़, विच सीम्स प्रीटी गुड एंड लुक्रेटिव. बट प्रॉब्लम है कि ये 60 रुपीज़ से आपको अपना एड स्पेंड भी कवर करना है, बिकॉज ट्रैफिक कहाँ से लाओगे, आपको अपने स्टाफ की सैलरी भी कवर करनी है, आपको अपने ई-कॉमर्स के सॉफ्टवेयर कॉस्ट भी कवर करना है, एंड अ लॉट मोर थिंग्स, राइट? सो दैट बीइंग सेड, दिस इज ओवरऑल हाउ दिस बिजनेस वर्क्स. अब क्या करते हैं, लेट्स एक्चुअली लुक एट द प्रोज एंड कॉन्स ऑफ एक्चुअली रनिंग दिस बिजनेस. सो डू यू रिमेंबर द क्राइटेरियाज एंड द पैरामीटर्स वी टॉक्ड अबाउट? वेल, द फर्स्ट वन वुड बी टाइम फ्रीडम. अगर टाइम फ्रीडम पे आई हैव टू रेट, एक ड्रॉप शिपिंग बिजनेस चलाने में ऑनेस्टली बताऊं ज़्यादा टाइम नहीं लगता. यू कैन एक्चुअली गेट स्टार्ट ऑलमोस्ट इंस्टेंटली, एंड विच इज़ प्रीटी गुड बिकॉज this allows you to actually kickstart your entire journey a lot faster. So this means I would like to give this probably a 9 out of 10 in terms of the scoring when it comes to the time it takes to start one of these businesses. Now let's talk about the location freedom. Now, fortunately, you have the flexibility to run this business from anywhere you desire. आपको अपना Shopify store पे log in करना है, आपको dashboard देखना है. You can do that, with the help of a simple computer, laptop, and an internet connection. So probably I would also rate this a 9 out of 10. Now there's a unique chance जहाँ पे हो सकता है you might face some shipping issues and whatnot, for which you have to actually be available. But that's up to you, right? Now comes the money freedom. Now here's the problem, right? While this sounds very fancy, ki wow, I actually get to build a business where I work according to my own terms, according to my own time, according to my own location. Problem kya ho raha hai? These dropshipping businesses are becoming very, very common. This means कि जब कोई चीज़ बहुत आसान है start करना, this means the barrier to entry is very, very low. This means कोई भी individual आके ये store start कर सकता है. And especially when it comes to all these videos that you're seeing on the internet, जहाँ पे different kind of dropshipping challenges हो रहे हैं, हर कोई बच्चा गली में जाके dropshipping stores launch कर रहा है. So this basically means the rise in competition would of course increase. I know people who also use Meesho to do dropshipping. And all these platforms are now becoming very, very common. Now, my simple question to you is, if these platforms are becoming common, तो जो ये individual हैं, ये आपके store पे जाके 100 रुपए का चीज़ खरीदें, या can't they just go to one of these websites and just pay $40 and order for themselves? Think about it, right? How difficult is it to do that? So this is why what happens is, as competition is increasing, right, as the barrier to entry is very, very low, the cost is going up. And what do I mean by cost? The cost to actually get customers, the cost to advertise, the cost to market yourself. And as a result of this, a lot of these store owners are being left with very, very less profit margins. And when the profit margin is less, guess what? You take home less money, right? And as a result, you do not actually succeed. So in terms of money, what I would like to actually rate this at would probably be 2 out of 10. Because a lot of these drop shippers that I know are operating at 5 to 10% profit margin. So let's suppose आपकी 1 करोड़ की सेल होती है, right? 1 करोड़ की सेल करने के लिए, let's suppose at the end, you are being left with, let's suppose, 5 lakh rupees or 10 lakh rupees in profit that you can take home. My question to you is very simple. You are better off getting a job than doing actually one of these businesses, right? So why would you want to actually be involved? The second thing that you must take into account why one of these businesses are a little bit challenging to actually make a lot of money is because, let's suppose you are selling something for 100 rupees, right? Now, if you are selling something for 100 rupees, I have a simple question for you, right? How many units of this 100 rupee product will you have to sell to actually achieve 1 crore? Let's do some math, right? So if I put 1 crore on my calculator and divide it simply by 100, this means you will have to sell 1 lakh of these units in order to actually achieve your target of 1 crore. 1 lakh units. अब 1 lakh units के लिए, let's suppose आपके e-commerce store का conversion rate 1% है, right? 100 divided by, let's suppose, 1 crore. This means imagine the number of clicks that you will have to get in order to achieve this target of yours. It's too much. And उन clicks को पाने के लिए, imagine the amount of ad spend that you'll have to do, money that you'll have to spend on ads, which becomes very, very difficult, right? And finally, if you are like, Rohan, मैं ads पे नहीं spend कर रहा, how much effort you'll have to put in to create content pieces in order to actually achieve this goal. Which brings me to the final factor why this is not one of my favorite businesses, is coming to effort freedom. So, जब कोई चीज़ को बेचने के लिए, right? I'm not denying, store start करना कोई rocket science नहीं है. You can easily go to Shopify, you can easily go to a website like Dukaan, और आजकल तो AI tools भी हैं like rollout.site. Within a few commands, you can actually launch your store. It's not rocket science. The effort is not when it comes to actually launching the store. The effort comes when it comes to promoting and actually getting traffic to this particular store, right? So as I said, अगर आप ads पे बहुत ज़्यादा spend करो, this means now you have to launch more ads and you have to launch more creatives. This means you have to spend more time on the ads manager. This means you're working more, right? Now, if you are not doing it, then probably you have to hire team members who can do that. This means now you have to do a lot more interviews, which means more effort again. If you're not even doing ads and you're posting content, which means now you have to be on reels, you have to do podcasts, you have to do a lot more things. And as a result, your effort becomes high. So in terms of effort rating, I would probably rate this at 3 out of 10, right? And as a result of this, right, the dropshipping store experience is probably, if you have to do an average, 9 plus 9 plus 2 plus 3, ठीक है, कितना होता है? 18, 20, 23, right, divided by 4. How much is 23 divided by 4? Can anyone do the maths? Let me know in the chat box. It's 5.75. 5.75, right? So when it comes to drop shipping, I would give this a rating of 5.75 as you see on your screen, right? Now, is this something that you should do? You be the judge. Now, back in 2014, what happened is I also had the opportunity to run one of these stores where what I did is I went to shopify.com and I launched this store where we would sell a lot of ladies hair dryers and I even googled some unique niches where we would send chakras or healing crystals and whatnot, because those things were trending at that point of time. So I thought, hey, I finally cracked this niche. But when I actually started that store, I decided to pull up some ads, and it was very easy for me to actually scale that store to upwards of $1,000 per day, which means it was even making upwards of $30,000 a month. And in fact, I even got that store to a level where it was even making $5,000 a day. While all those numbers sound very, very fancy, what you must realize is at the end, I wasn't taking home a lot of money. And if I wasn't taking a lot of money, was I able to actually achieve the parameters that I've listed over here? Absolutely not. And as a result, I decided to shut this business down and move on to another business, which let's talk about now. So the second business that I decided to start was becoming an influencer. I'm sure you must be very excited about this term. Everybody you know is an influencer these days. So what happened is, it was after doing this dropshipping store, I thought, let's do something creative. So I decided to start a page which was called as Bhai Bible. I think it still exists. I don't manage it anymore, but somebody does. And on this store, what I decided to do is I decided to actually post a lot of content. I decided to post a lot of memes. I even started an Instagram page, and slowly, gradually, this page grew up to 50,000 plus likes, right? And it was reaching millions and millions of people. I remember there was a time when the page was reaching 2 million people a week, right? And it was becoming a very, very popular page because it was inspired by, I don't know if you know about this company called as Unilad or Lad Bible. It's a very famous company in UK which posts a lot of memes and a lot of entertaining content. So we were trying to model that for India, and it was going pretty well because I thought, hey, whenever I post content, it gets millions of views, and this is so freaking interesting. But you know what? There was something devastating that happened. But before I tell you what was that devastating thing, let's analyze the factors. So when it comes to time, right? See, we are not restricted by time, but then if you want to be an influencer, you need to post a lot of content. This means you have to record videos like how I'm doing right now. Now, touch wood, if you can actually afford, let's suppose, an agency, or you can create a good system, probably you could do it in a very less duration of time. But most people cannot actually reach that stage to afford an agency or build those systems, right? So that means you will have to do everything manually. And if you have to do manually, and if you have to post a lot of content, and you have to make reels, you have to manage so many social media accounts, you are definitely working a lot. So when it comes to time, I won't rate it very high. But then I do have to take into account there are a lot of AI tools that are under development which allow you to do this a lot faster. So probably I would rate this a 5 out of 10 when it comes to the time that is involved when it comes to running these businesses, right? Now, when it comes to location, Now, this is where there would be an edge, because you could run one of these businesses literally from everywhere. Because if you have to make content, you have to post reels, you have to post memes, you could record that from anywhere you are in the world, right? So that is a very beautiful thing, right? So I would probably give that a 9 out of 10 for this type of business. Now comes the money part, and let me come back to the story that I was telling. So I had grown this page to, thousands and thousands of likes. I was reaching millions of people, and every time I used to post any kind of meme or whatever, it used to actually get a lot of likes and comments. But you know what? The moment I thought, okay, now it's time to actually monetize this page and maybe launch maybe a product or something of my own, I actually did that. I launched my own website, and I thought, okay, I'll sell t-shirts and everything, so that I can monetize the following that I have. You know what happened? Whenever I used to post a meme or a video, it used to reach millions of people. But whenever I would post something that would, promote something that I want to offer, the reach would automatically decrease. Why? Because platforms like YouTube, Facebook, and all these social media platforms, they do not want their users to exit their platforms. They want to retain as many people as possible, right? And whenever I would try to actually maybe send these people to an external website or something, automatically I would get a lot more less clicks, right? A lot lesser views, a lot lesser impressions. And as a result of that, guess what? My money making capability was reducing significantly, and was becoming very, very time, it's just not worth it. Like, I was posting a lot, but like, what's the point when I wasn't making any money? And what about Rohan? But you can make a lot of money through RPM, through by showing ads, like probably how you saw an ad before this video or whatever. But the problem is, in country like India, the cost or the amount that you actually get from Google, is just not good enough. Like, I was literally seeing stats of a video today which had upwards of 44,000 to 50,000 views, and that video barely made like 1,500 rupees to 2,000 rupees. Okay, so the point is, for so much time, right, if you're making less money, it's definitely not worth it, right? And there have been real-time examples as well. For example, there are a lot of influencers. For example, you might have seen Tech Burner, who recently also, even though he has a huge brand, when he decided to launch his own product and decide to actually monetize his audience, he wasn't able to actually make a lot of money with it, because the product had issues of its own. People did not appreciate it, and he was also claiming that, hey, the whole watch thing was made in India, but it wasn't really. So there were a lot of controversies around that as well. So point is, just because you're good at posting content doesn't mean you're good at running business, and doesn't mean that you will be good at monetizing and actually making a lot of money from it. So you have to think very, very carefully before you get into one of these businesses. So when it comes to making money, probably I would rate this a 4 out of 10. And please don't get me wrong, there are a lot of influencers that actually end up making a lot of money, but they are really good at having a good business sense as well. It's not because of the business model alone why they are successful. So just note that. Okay. Now comes the final part, which is effort. So you think about it. How much time does it take to create reels that go viral? How much time does it take to create YouTube videos that go viral? How much time does it take to create medium.com articles, or create those Quora articles to actually go viral? Like, I mean, I know a lot of people who actually have to do nationwide PR activities, appear on multiple podcasts, do a lot of things so that it becomes their full-time gig where they don't have anything else to do, right? Now, that means the effort or the intensity when it comes to actually like being an influencer is a lot. Like, I can't personally imagine, like, I run a business, and if I had to do this all day, every day, like 365 days, I'll probably die, right? So point is, when it comes to efforts, right, I would probably rate this, like, again, maybe 5 out of 10. Why 5? Because I still feel like there are other jobs as well which are a lot tougher than making reels. I'm not saying this is easy, but it's still like 5 out of 10 is good enough rating. So let's add on 5 plus 5, 10, plus 9 plus 4, right? Divided by 4, how much do we have? 10, 19, then we have 23 divided by 4. Can anyone tell me what's 23 divided by 4? It is 5.75 again, right? So we got a very similar rating, which is 5.75 out of 10 when it comes to doing one of these businesses, which is influencer marketing. Now let's learn about the third type of business that you can consider, which is also trending these days. So the third type of business is called as launching your own marketing agency. Now, if you have been seeing YouTube, Iman Gadzi and all that stuff, SMMA, this is the new latest thing that a lot of people are obsessed about, right? So marketing agency could be in various forms, right? You could launch a SMMA, you could launch a performance agency, you could launch an AI agency, it could be whatever. Point is, you are providing some sort of service and you're actually working with a client. Now, this was back in college, and I was like really done with this dropshipping influencer marketing, and I was trying to crack what the hell should I do. And one thing that I learned, which was common that I had, was that hey, I knew digital marketing. So what I decided to do is I decided to post free content on the internet, and I just showed people how to actually learn Facebook and how to get likes and whatnot. So I started posting content for free. And what happened is this one guy, his name is Vijay. He's from US. He decided to see one of my videos and he decided to actually message me on Facebook. And he's like, hey, I saw your content online and it seemed very interesting. I wanted to know if you could do the same for my own business and help me with my own digital marketing needs. I was like, okay, this sounds very interesting, but why would he want to pick me and whatnot? Regardless, without thinking much, I decided to actually get on a quick Skype call with him to discuss more. And he told me, okay, you know what, send me a proposal on how you can grow my business using digital marketing. And I thought, okay, let's see what happens. I went to Google and I decided to actually search, okay, how much people charge for services like Facebook ads, performance marketing, etc., etc. And at that time, I saw this figure, $1,500. It was trending. This is apparently how much people in US were charging. So I thought, okay, let's just give it a try and quote Vijay this particular price. What's the worst that's going to happen? He's going to say no. Anyway, I was an 18-year-old college student. Why would somebody want to pay me that kind of hefty price? Correct. So I decided to quote that to Vijay, and I never expected anything in return at all. But few hours later, I get this notification where Vijay agreed and he actually PayPal'd me the money, and I received half payment, which is $750 from $1,500, and it was mind blowing. Like, I was surprised. I literally was so happy and excited. I went to my parents' room and I just screamed that, hey, I've done it. I've actually been able to make more money than I did from all these other businesses, in a month. And I probably made from these businesses in 3 months, 5 months, or, even a year. And I'm talking about profit. Okay, please remember profit. Okay. Because with this Vijay guy, I did not have any expense. It was just me, my services. I didn't run any ads. It was just very easy. I just got the client. So almost 100% of it was just my profit. And it was mind blowing. I was surprised. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like, somebody actually trusts me to solve their problem and pay me such a big price for the same, right? So this was amazing up until the point when I started to scale this agency, and from Vijay, it became 5 Vijays, 10 Vijays, 20 Vijays, and more. So before I tell you what happened after I decided to scale this agency, let's go and assess this business of agency from the same parameters that I was talking about, right? So first parameter is time. So when it comes to running one of these businesses, touch wood, at the start, when you have probably 1, 2, 3 clients, it's like very easy to manage. But then when you have more than 5, 10 clients, what starts happening is your WhatsApp is buzzing all the time. You are getting email notifications all the time. And, you have to do Zoom calls. You have to make sure the client is actually satisfied all the time. So if you have less than 5, 10 clients, it's very manageable. But when you scale past 5, 10 clients, oh my God, I would probably rate this business 2 out of 10, right? Because then you're just like a glorified service provider, right? Unless you, of course, solve this problem by creating systems and hiring people, which I'll come to. Or actually, you know what? Let's just bring that point now. So let's bring the second point, money. Now, this business is great If you are, as I said, running probably solo, maybe like with one team member, two members, three members, five members, whatever, right? But when you start like scaling this, right? Think about this, like for your agency, uh, how many people do you need to actually get the job done? Probably you need to hire a copywriter, probably you need to hire an ads expert or a media expert, probably you need to hire a graphic designer, probably you need to have hire a strategist, then you might need an account manager or customer support person who can talk to these customers, then you'll have to get probably somebody to handle your accounts, then probably you need to get somebody to handle the admin. So the point is, the money, when you actually are hiring all these people, guess what happens? Your margins start reducing significantly. And what happens is, like, I know some companies which are the top marketing agencies in this country, and I was seeing the podcasts of those individuals. They are doing 200, 300 crores per annum. And then when you are looking at their profit margins, what is it? Like 5-10% again, kind of similar to what we had experienced at dropshipping. So this means you are, netting home a lot lesser. So as I said, does this mean as a solopreneur you could actually achieve your goal of making 1 CR with this kind of business? Absolutely, you can. But would you actually, be happy doing it, or would you be able to scale it past that and be like really, maintain profit margins which are very healthy? Probably not, right? So I would actually rate this, like, if you're a solopreneur, good in terms of profit margins when you're solo, but when you scale, probably high. So probably I'll give this a 5 out of 10 rating, which is something that you can consider, which is like halfway through. Now, location freedom, touch wood, you have, as I said, if you're a solopreneur, maybe a small lean team, you can work from anywhere. But when you actually have a massive team, you need to manage them. And for that, a lot of these companies get a dedicated office, right? Again, I would rate this probably a 5 out of 10, because depending upon where exactly you stand and how much scale you're looking to actually achieve, right? And then finally comes the effort freedom. See, this kind of business requires you to be good at a skill, right? If you're not good at a skill, then why would somebody actually buy? Because technically what you're exchanging is your mind. You're basically like turning thin air into like money, which is your knowledge into money, or your skills into money, or the skills of your people into money, right? So definitely, if you're working, solo or individually, you'll need to put in a lot of efforts. And if you have a team, then you'll have to put in the efforts to manage that team, which either way is just too much headache, too much sardar, and something that I want to do, probably not, right? So again, effort, I would again rate this a 5 out of 10. So the final rating that I would like to give to this particular business would be 4.25 out of 10. Now, does this mean that you should not start an agency, and does this business not good enough to actually make you 1 CR? Absolutely not. Let me do some math, because I actually advocate this and I recommend this to a lot of people who are actually starting out, because this is the business that allowed me to make my first 1 CR as a kid. Because think about this. Let's suppose, you end up getting a client that pays you 2 lakh rupees, right? Now, if you want to make, let's suppose, 1 CR, how much is that? Approximately, let's say 8 lakh rupees per month, right? So if it's 8 lakh rupees per month, how many clients do you need to be able to achieve this target? Let's just do some math. You basically need 4 clients a month, right? Now, if you get 4 clients and let's suppose you're able to retain them, actually achieving this target becomes a lot easier. And especially when you are, at an early stage, when you're not building such a hypey team and, scaling it to the next level, adding more complexity, this can actually be good. And, you could actually make a lot of progress, and you could actually have a very sustainable and healthy business, which has a huge margins. Like, I know agency owners who are, at a small scale with a lean team, even operating with upwards of 70-80% profit margins, right? So it all depends upon how you actually go about running it. Okay. Now, that being said, after marketing agency, the next business that I would like to talk about is something that I decided to do after this particular marketing agency. I thought, okay, now I have actually learned, the skill. Now I'm in a position to go and teach other people how do you go about using this particular skill to make a lot of money. Okay. So that's why I thought, let me launch my own courses. Okay. So I did two things. Okay, first thing that I did is I went to this website. It's called as Udemy. Okay, if you want, you can go to Udemy right now and type Rohan Dhawan. I have probably upwards of 90,000 plus students. Okay. Now on Udemy, I decided to actually post a lot of content, let's suppose, and post a lot of courses that I was selling for approximately $10 to $20 approximately. Okay. Now this was good, and I will also reveal how much income I ended up making from Udemy, but this was bad as well. Why? Because out of this $10, right, probably 50% though Udemy used to take, and I was only left with $5, which was barely nothing, right? I even decided to actually run ads, host like webinars, and maybe sell courses for like $100, to even $200, $500, and basically a lot of low ticket courses. Okay, the problem with this is initially it worked really well, but then suddenly everybody started doing this, and this again, just like dropshipping, became commoditized, and as a result, when costs started increasing a lot, my margins started reducing. This means initially, let's suppose I would put $1 in and make probably $4 back. Initially, this became $1 in, and then $3 back, and then $2, and then $1, and then I basically start going in losses. And this is what happens with a lot of people who end up selling these low-ticket courses and programs. And of course, this put me in a tough spot because I wasn't really enjoying it later on. So let's go about rating these low-ticket courses again on the same parameters that I talked about. So first parameter would be time. Now, in terms of time, this is really good because you just have to record these courses one time and then you are set to go, right? You have this asset. Of course, you need to update it maybe once a year, but in terms of time and everything, this was really good. So I would probably rate this a 9 out of 10. Now, when it comes to location, again, very good because I had the opportunity to work from anywhere, which is quite the common trend that you are able to see in all these businesses we are talking about, right? So 9 out of 10. Now comes the money, right? Now this is where the issue is, right? Because if you are hosting these courses on third-party platforms like Udemy and whatnot, they're taking 50% of the cut. If you're not hosting these courses on these platforms like Udemy, you will have to spend a lot of money on ads. I know a lot of people who sell low-ticket courses. On the first 1 or 2 course levels that they sell, they end up making heavy losses, and then they actually have to sell some sort of mentoring or some sort of high-end service, which of course comes back to an agency at the end or something like that, which also puts them in a very tough spot because again, it just doesn't become very profitable at scale. So money wise and profit margin wise, I would probably rate this business a 2 out of 10, which at scale is just not good enough, right? Also, let's suppose in terms of effort, right? Over here, I could actually say that, yeah, like this business has less efforts, but then if you have to do constant webinars and, all those activities in order to sell this particular thing, then the effort actually increases whatnot. So I would probably give this a 6 out of 10. So in terms of the final rating, we have 9 plus 9 plus 2 plus 6 divided by 4. So you have 18, 20, which is 26 divided by 4, right? Which comes down to be around. So this business, I would probably rate this at 6 out of 10 in terms of the rating. Now, here's one important thing that you should know. You should not launch a course if you don't have any good skills, right? Or if you haven't done anything for which people would be interested to learn more about you. For example, not too long ago, I was seeing this video of this 15-year-old kid who was recording a video on how to improve your dating life. It's all good, but honestly, is that 15-year-old kid, has that person really been through enough in their life to give you relationship advice, right? Probably not, right? So therefore, that person will not appear super credible, and that's the reason why a lot of people would probably not buy the course from that particular person. So you need to be able to be good at a skill. For example, if you look at my pattern, I started that influencer business, I did drop shipping, I then did an agency, and then I launched my course. Okay, if I would have launched my course first, then nobody would have actually bought from me and nobody would have actually paid me money, right? And by the way, in case anybody is wondering how much I made approximately $40,000 from Udemy, and technically $80,000, 50% Udemy took, right? So, but still, $40,000 in like 4 years is not very impressive numbers. I mean, for some people watching this would be very, very good. But was this enough to actually help me achieve my 1 CR mark? Absolutely not. So that brings me to the point. Let's do some math for this online course thing, right? Let's suppose I'm selling something, or maybe I'm selling a course for 10,000 rupees. Okay, this is an example I'm giving you. Now, if my target is to make 1 CR, how many of these courses will I actually have to sell? Let's do some math, right? If I do 1 CR, this means I'll have to sell 1,000 copies of this course, right? 1,000 copies of this course. This means 1,000 students you'll have to get. Now, to get these 1,000 people, right? Let's suppose you'll have to probably get 1 lakh people into your lead list or your email list and whatnot. 1 lakh people to actually follow you, and to get those 1 lakh people to follow you, probably you'll need to get 1 crore clicks or whatnot, or 10 lakh clicks in order to get these kind of conversions. This means you'll have to spend a lot of money on ads, you have to spend a lot of money in marketing, you'll have to spend a lot of money in promotion, which basically makes it very difficult for you to scale to 1 CR. Why do you want to put in so much efforts, right? So with that being said, what is the ideal business to actually be in then, right? What is the ideal business to be in? Now, the fact is that there is no right or wrong answer, but I'll tell you what has worked for me. Fifth business that I decided to do, which honestly I like to say that it's responsible for making me ultra successful and also being able to, scale to the next level while combining the best of all the businesses that we actually talked about. It is called as high ticket business, right? So what do I mean by this? Now, this is a business where you end up actually taking the best elements of all the businesses that I've talked about, making them unique, and then packaging it together so that it's a scalable solution. What do I mean by this? See, high ticket business basically involves very similar. You find people that have problems, okay? These people are suffering from any kind of issue. It could be maybe they're suffering from health issue, maybe they're suffering with their marketing issue because of which they are not able to grow their business, or maybe they're suffering from relationship issues, right? Now, with these individuals, they want what? Results, right? And how do they want results? They want fast, right? Now, here's the problem. If I try to give them results by launching an agency, guess what? It becomes very difficult to scale. Why does it become difficult to scale? I'll have to hire more people. I'll have to, increase my efforts. I'll have to be involved in all these service points, right? And all the other disadvantages that I talked about earlier, which makes it unscalable. On the other hand, if I just sell these people a course and just give them some videos to watch, do you really think they'll become successful? Because, in today's time, the attention time or attention span of individuals is decreasing every single day. That's the reason why people can't even, watch shorts completely. Like, I know people who skip even shorts very, very fast. So this means attention span is really reducing. This means nobody has patience to sit through and watch courses only. Okay, so and if it was the case, and if people could actually see videos and become successful, and don't you think everybody who watches a YouTube video or everybody who purchases a Udemy course would be a billionaire? Think about it, right? So point is that people are done with courses. People don't want an agency. What they want is a system which is a hybrid of the same, right? This means a system which allows people to get the necessary guidance, let's suppose in the form of videos, so that it becomes scalable, but at the same time get somebody who can be there one-to-one or in a mentorship format, so that they could allow these person to maybe help them get results, maybe via by improving their health, by improving their wealth, or of course improving their relationships. Just to give you an example, so when I was running this business, I after like scaling upwards of 10 clients, I decided to shut down my agency. It was too much work, too much efforts. I was like, okay, let's do something else. I decided to launch courses, but then I realized, okay, this is great, but the cost is just not matching. I'm spending a lot of money on ads, I'm spending a lot of money on marketing, but it is just not working out. So what do I need to do? I need to increase my price, right? I need to increase my price so that I could acquire more customers and still be profitable. But at the same time, if I want to increase my price, I don't want to do all the work for these people, and I want a scalable system which allows me to actually still give them results, right? So how do I go about justifying this increase in price while still making sure that my clients get results? Well, what I decide to do is I decide to probably create like a community, right, where these people have the opportunity to even learn from one another, be motivated, and actually see how they can actually succeed. I decide to include mentorship plus some DFY or agency elements, right, where these people get one-to-one attention, kind of like what the agency provides, so that these people can actually get results a lot faster. But then I also decide to actually add some course material so that these people also have the opportunity to learn, right, implement the same with the mentor, post the results in the community. And through this hybrid system, I was able to achieve something called as scale. Why? Because now I was finally able to sell at a high ticket price while delivering outstanding results to these people, combining the best of the models that work and still delivering the transformation that people want. So let's rate this business again when it comes to the parameters that we were talking about, right? So the first parameter would be time. Now, the problem with the other business, like let's say an agency, was that you would have to do a lot of work. But that problem we have already solved by basically creating some course material and having a community that helps the particular client. But this doesn't mean you'll be able to completely escape the time thing, because you'll have to still provide some sort of mentorship. Now, initially, you can do the same, right? But then maybe you can hire an expert who can do sessions on your behalf or provide the one-to-one coaching on your behalf. For example, when I started this high-ticket business or this kind of business, I used to do 2 calls per week with my community group. So my total time commitment was, each call was probably for 2 hours each. So I was spending 4 hours per week, committing to this particular business. I used to do some one-on-one calls every now and then, so you could add another 4 hours. So total 8 hours a week I was spending on this business. Later on, when I was able to scale this, I got somebody else to take these Q&A calls and do these one-on-one calls. And now I'm not even involved in this, right? So I had the opportunity to get my time back, and this is very, very beneficial. So I would probably give this an 8 out of 10 when it comes to time. When it comes to actually location, again, touch wood, this business has the same advantages which we've been talking about. So let's just relate it a 9 out of 10, because you can run these businesses from anywhere. Then it comes to the effort part, right? Now, initially, I'm not going to deny, you just have to put in the 8 hours a week, which I talked about, to actually coach these people. But then you can, of course, gain back that time, and you have the community and the course material, of course, doing a lot of work on your behalf as well. So ultimately, this is the only business which allows you to actually exit the amount of efforts you are putting in, and also not having such a massive team that you'll have to manage if you're doing like an agency. Because now here you're not sitting and hiring like a copywriter, funnel designer, media buyer, this and that. You probably just need to hire 1 or 2 mentors who are really good or subject matter experts at whatever you teach, and this would allow you to then escape this as well. So efforts as well, I would probably give this a 9 out of 10. That in terms of money, since this business has the best of, the agency, where you don't have to hire such a massive staff and whatnot, but at the same time you get to charge high ticket prices, which means you are left with good profit margins. But it also has the benefit of a course where, as I said, you don't have to hire a lot of people. People have the option to watch videos and whatnot and get a great learning experience from you. So you get, as I said, the best of both worlds, right? So over here as well, I would probably give this a 9 out of 10, because this allows you to actually make a lot of money. And if you want proof of people who actually follow this particular model and actually succeed, look at people like Alex Hormozi, Gym Launch, literally sold it for what, $50-100 million. His model and format pretty much the same. You look at Iman Ghazi and the new page on YouTube that he has started, Iman Ghazi Business. What does he do? If you check the description, he's also selling high ticket mentorship as well. So everybody who's crushing it is actually following one of these businesses to actually succeed. Now, if I had to actually rate this, right, how much would this be? 27 plus 8 divided by 4. So let me just do some math. 35 divided by 4, this means this business gets a rating of 8.75. Okay, still some points left. Why? Because ultimately it is a business. It does require work. It does require you to put in energy. There is nothing called as passive income where ghar baithe baithe you just like earn a lot of money. So anything or anytime you want to actually, be rich, you have to put in a little bit of work. Come on, that's the least you can do. So that being said, that was my comparison of all the kind of businesses that you can start. This was my own journey, and this is the business that I personally prefer when it comes to starting and scaling as well, so that I can achieve my 1 CR. And I'll tell you the raw math behind how exactly I went about doing this. Let's suppose you have a mentorship program and you have a high ticket business where let's suppose you are charging 1 lakh rupees. Now, how many clients you need to achieve this? You need 8 clients. Now, if you can get 8 clients a month at 1 lakh rupees, you are now having 8 lakh rupees, which 8 lakhs a month allows you to achieve your goal of 1 CR. So that's what I did, and this is what worked out for me. Chances are that you may or may not agree with the same. I totally understand and respect your opinion, but as I said, this is what worked for me, right? So that being said, if you like this video and you find it valuable, make sure to share it with a friend who's planning to start an online business, or maybe they're stuck doing one of these businesses and they are like, frick. They're like, shit, man, I'm just like stuck. I don't want to do this. I want to actually scale and I want to figure out a way so I can scale past 1 CR or to 1 CR. Share this video with them and let me know what they think as well in the comments below. Rohan Dhawan here, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.